Jay here, Stretford Paddock. This is Gazetta standing in for Adam McCullough. Loads of Manchester United news to get through this morning. And the weather here in sunny Salford is mild. It's a bit dreary, but it's not too bad. We've seen worse. Right, let's get into it anyway. Much of the papers, as you'd think or expect, focusing on Manchester United's game against who did we play yesterday? I've almost forgotten already. They all mould into one at the minute against Luton Town. Right. United won, of course, 1-0, emphatic 1-0 win over the high-flying Luton. The funny thing is, United are actually the informed team. I think we've won 4 and lost 1 of our last 4 games or something like that. We're the most informed team in the Premier League, which is a bit surprising to say the least. And also, I know it's hardly time to get the bunting out, but we're in 6th place. And some of the teams that people are praising and saying, oh, you know what, they're having a really great season in comparison to Manchester United's season. We're not actually that far off them. I'm just going to run through the table and then we'll get into some of the stories. So United are 6 on 21 points. Villa, who've got a game in hand, are on 22. Liverpool have got a game in hand, are on 24. Tottenham, who everyone has just been praising all season, are on 26, 5 points ahead of us. Arsenal 6 points ahead of us, and City 6 points ahead of us with a game in hand. Now, I'm not going to say, oh, this is wonderful, we're only 6 points behind Arsenal, because that would be incredibly small time. But just a bit of perspective, we're 1 point above Newcastle. Everyone's going on about how great a job Eddie Howe's doing and how mint things are for everyone associated with Newcastle Football Club. Yesterday, we saw Kieran Trippier arguing with their own fans and saying they've got injuries. That's the reason why they put in a lackluster performance at Bournemouth. Mate, you want to talk to me about injuries, son? Hey, you want to try being Manchester United? So I'm not going to pretend that everything is rosy, because it isn't. Some of the performances have been underwhelming. And let's be honest about the caliber of teams we've been beating and those we've been losing to. Plus, there's the cup competitions as well. But it's not quite all doom and gloom. Yeah, I think there's some small reasons to be optimistic, because we're not out of the top 4 race already, as some people were claiming. And Erik ten Hag spoke about that. He said we're in a very good position for a top 4 finish. Yes, that might be disappointing, the fact that it's already just becoming a top 4 finish, when some of us may hoped that this season we could have kicked on from last season and actually mounted a title challenge. But if United get into the Champions League again, if we can finish in the top 4, maybe do something in the FA Cup, or if we end up in the Europa League, win the Europa League, whatever, it won't be a bad season for Erik ten Hag. I think the main thing for him is he's got to get that Champions League qualification with all the new sort of team coming in, the new management team, if you will, the David Brailsford and who else is Paul Mitchell has been mooted as well as coming in, and the lad Jean-Claude Blanc. It looks like Erik ten Hag is going to be under a bit of a microscope once the Jim Ratcliffe's team comes in. And if he can say, look, I've given us a top 3 finish and a trophy, and the following season I've got us a top 4 finish as well, back-to-back Champions League qualifications, he might just give himself a bit of breathing room under the newish regime. I know they're not doing a complete takeover, but it's, they're going to be in charge of football, or Jim Ratcliffe, from what we gather, is going to be in charge of football and decisions. Just on that front as well, there's a story here in the Sunday People that says Friedman, Dougie Friedman, I don't know if you remember him. Now you can see that one there. Friedman in frame for United role. It says Crystal Palace sporting director Dougie Friedman is in the frame to be part of Sir Jim Ratcliffe's 1.4 billion revolution at Manchester United. The former Scotland striker, who had managerial spells at Palace, Bolton and Nottingham Forest, has been in charge of the South London's recruitment since 2017. And his work has caught the eye of Ratcliffe, as well as that of Sir Dave Brailsford, the former Team GB cycling supremo, assisting the proposed overhaul of United's transfer and scouting department. Also goes on to say there could be an official announcement next week in terms of, well, it says next. Does it say next week? I better check that. It might say, yeah, it does say next week, in terms of what's going to be changing at the club under Sir Jim Ratcliffe. There's been conflicting reports, some saying it will be next week. I think Ben Jacobs saying it might take a little bit longer, but a lot of papers reporting that next week will be the time when Manchester United get this new investment and the new owners and everything else. Got another headline here, another story here in the Mirror Sport. It says, Ten Hag on a charge after swiping the loot, as in Luton Town. Very good. Erik ten Hag was saved by another goal from a defender and then insisted his Manchester United side must take more chances even if they are to reach top 4. The Dutchman said we could have made life easier by scoring goals, but we created many chances. First half, I observed 4 100% chances. If you get the first then you get the second, it becomes easier. I think our XG was around 2.12 or something I saw. We did have chances. Rasmus Højlund had a very good chance. Marcus Rashford had a very good chance. So it wasn't like we didn't create chances, but I'd expect us to create chances against Luton. The main thing for me was getting that result, and we got it. So, let's not pretend that it's a disaster. A win is a win. It's just not a performance where you go a year from now, do you remember that time we beat Luton? Oh, what a game. Victory march, says the Daily Star. Ten Hag keeping pace with top 4, which is true. We are. Also, there's this sort of story here. Pep, go, even if you want to go to United. He's basically saying he'll sell players to City or Liverpool, to United or Liverpool. He says he believes only a small club would block a move on the grounds it would strengthen a rival. It's not just that, though, is it? It's I get your point about it's small time in it, but the fans really want to see a player who's played for Manchester City joining Manchester United. And also, didn't City put a tax on one of their players? Was it Sancho or someone? I can't remember. They had a youngster, didn't they? And it was like once they'd sold him, it was like if he moves on, it was in the clause in his contract to another Manchester club, then there's an extra added percentage on it or something. I mean, an extra Manchester club. It wasn't going to be Bolton or Bury or Rochdale, was it? It was obviously going to be Manchester United. So, yeah, I mean, okay. You're going to sell those players, really? And we'll see if that ever happens. Another one on the Express, it's Linda Liftoff. Victory march, Linda Liftoff, swiping the loot. What are we thinking about some of these puns even? They're not that great, are they? Says Erik ten Hag claimed his Manchester United stars are ready to push the top 4 after a narrow win over Luton. This one here, this isn't a pun. Ten Hag banned. And it says here, United's ice cool Dutchman shows the strain as he rants at linesman over a throw-in. They put a thing in here about the fact that Erik ten Hag got a booking. I think he's banned from the Everton game from the dugout now because that's the accumulation of bookings. And they always do this with Erik ten Hag, and it annoys me. They paint him like whenever he argues with an official or raises an issue, they say, he's losing his cool, the mask is slipping, he's rattled and all the rest of it. Compared to some of our rivals, Erik ten Hag barely does anything. If you look at Jurgen Klopp or Mikel Arteta when they're on a touchline, it's a proper full pantomime performance. All this business and running up and down and screaming in an official's face. And half the time, they don't even get a booking. Nothing happens to them. It's just ignored, or it's part of their charm. Look at Klopp. What's he like, little scamp, screaming at some official's face? Typical. Gotta love Jurgen. Yeah, whenever Erik ten Hag does it, it becomes back page news. He gets a yellow card, and now he's facing a ban. Personally, I don't mind seeing Erik ten Hag shouting at officials. I don't think he's losing his cool. I think he's every right to be aggrieved because Manchester United have been absolutely robbed this season, not just by VAR, but by poor refereeing as well. So more of it, please, Eric. Keep holding their foot to the fire. Let me know if you agree. Let me know if you disagree. Get involved in the comments and the chat. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Just finally as well, Rasmus Højlund, of course he got an injury. Why wouldn't he? It was inevitable that the kid would be becoming ultra reliant on. I know he hasn't scored in the Premier League before he started, but let's face facts, we need him. And he's banging him in Europe. He's got an injury. We're going to have to wait 24 hours before they learn the full extent of injuries suffered by Rasmus Højlund and Christian Eriksen, it says here in the Manchester Evening News. United's injury woes continue as Danish duo were both taken off during their 1-0 win against Luton on Saturday afternoon. Says Eriksen held his knee when he was replaced by Mason Mount in the closing minutes of the first half, while Højlund twice went down holding his hamstring before being replaced just over 10 minutes from time. Ten Hag was asked about it. He said, in this moment, I can't comment anything because I don't know the assessment. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with the injuries. But we need Rasmus Højlund back. So the update there from Erik ten Hag isn't really much of an update, but hopefully we'll have one soon. As always, we'll keep you posted with all the latest news from Manchester United Football Club. Go and check out the other videos on the channel. Don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe. I've been Jay Motti. This has been Gazzetta on a Sunday morning. Thanks for watching.